This is the Chip Marble Podcast brought to you by Lynx Magazine. Today, we're going to talk sports, we're going to have some fun, and we have three real deal athletes in the studio: Shaka Fonderson, Declan Cross, and Trevon McNeil. Thanks for coming through, guys.
Thanks, man, for having us.
Thank you for having us, man.
What do you guys think? Well, you guys came to a college. What do you guys think of the facilities? I know you guys are done with school. How's it feel to be back on campus?
Man, it's real. It's real. Tons of memories, not here per se, but tons of memories of being in school and just, the late nights. But honestly, Humber has a phenomenal facility, phenomenal place.
Yeah, I really like this place. I'm more known of the athletic facilities, but seeing everything else is a very, very nice campus.
Dad is a legend here. We'll get into that in a bit.
He did go to school. Shouts out to my dad one time. I got him one time.
And you guys all had a great varsity athletic career, and Declan actually now playing professional football in the Canadian Football League. So we're going to hear all about it, but let's just start. If we could just get a quick introduction from each of you about like your athletic background, and then we'll get into the organization you guys have started now, which is Beyond the Game. So Shaka, tell us a bit about your sporting career.
Perfect. Okay. So, as y'all know, I played football in high school, got a scholarship to go to the University of Toronto, play football there. Only 1 year, but I did play some semi-pro football after that, and now I'm playing one more year with the GTA All-Stars.
Really cool.
Yes, sir.
My name is Declan Cross. As you guys know, I play football. I've played football since I was 11. I started playing house league.
I take credit for it because I was in the BMFA before.
Yeah.
Maybe you caught wind.
Shout out Burlington Minor Football Association.
Yeah, big time,
and then I went to high school, played some high school ball.
Holy
Shaka,
Trinity.
Matt, both of you.
Shout out Titans.
Went to McMaster University after that for engineering. Did not work out for the engineering part. But the football part did work out. Switched programs into business. 4 years later, I was fortunate enough to be drafted by the Toronto Argonauts in the 4th round of the 2016 CFL draft. And it's been an amazing experience, and I've played 3 years so far for Toronto. I have 2 years left in my current contract, and I'm excited for what's next.
Really cool. Trevon, I know you were at McMaster as well.
Yes, I grew up, started playing basketball when I was 4 years old. Like you said, my dad, a big basketball player, so that definitely ran in the family. Started at a young age, played my entire life up until, again, went to Holy Trinity with these guys. After Holy Trinity, I got offered a scholarship to go to play McMaster. Played there until my senior year, went in there for social science, then I got into poli-sci, which is a very underrated degree, I feel. That helped me a lot. And just like knowing things off top. And yeah, I finished up playing basketball, and I'm a sports-specific trainer and one-on-one trainer and Beyond the Game. Yeah.
Really cool. Yeah, we all have a lot of roots together, same high school, and Declan and Trevon, we played like elementary school basketball together. So yeah, a lot of good in the bank, and just really looking forward to talking about this new project you guys have and Beyond the Game. Now, if you guys could give me like what's it all about, and what are you guys trying to accomplish with this initiative?
Okay, so Beyond the Game essentially is kind of self-explanatory in the name. You want to go beyond the game. What we want to do is kind of change the perspective of sport for all athletes and fans all alike, right? It's no longer just a game between the four lines. Now it's a way for athletes to learn about themselves and a way for people to learn about the skills that they gain through sport. That way they're more aware, and whenever sports is done for them, be it at the pro level, be it after high school, be it whenever, they're able to transition. They're no longer stuck and no longer identify with the athlete, but it's so much more than just that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right?
Yeah, we can think of it kind of as a mental health initiative as well. It's kind of a combination, mental health and coaching and a bunch of things like that. So,
yeah, we really want to make sure that these athletes that we're reaching out to understand the platform that they have as athletes, that a lot of people look up to athletes, and we don't want to waste that, right? If you have a platform, let's do good with it. Let's impact your community, impact the people around you. How can you make yourself better to help those around you?
Yeah, sports is such a powerful thing. I mean,
Absolutely.
all four of us probably, sports have done so much for us in our lives. Yeah. again, for me, when my playing careers were, was over, there was kind of a void there. And I think maybe what I understand, maybe something you guys are trying to do is help people kind of navigate life, in sport and out of sport, and just what sport has maybe taught you, find a way to apply that in everything else you do, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, really cool. And so who are you guys really targeting with Beyond the Game? Who are you really trying to, get down and talk to and help out with this specifically?
Specifically, it's school-age children, right? So high school and college athletes. It's at this age where they really understand their sport. They know they play at the elite level, right? And it's specifically this age because the skills that they gain, the skills that they're made aware of at this age will grow with them as they progress through their sport, right? So by the time they're done, it's not like I have no idea what to do now. But it's like they've gone through this routine and this scheduling, and now that when they're done playing sports, they understand how to do a lot more. And even while they're playing their sport, they're still doing so many different things around their sport, right? They're talking to different people to grow in their networks, and they're setting themselves up for success later in life.
Yeah, essentially, we want to just make sure that they understand that there's just playing, and then there's the business side of any sport. And in that business side, you need to understand that you are doing what's best for you, and that's whether that's physically, mentally, as a team, for your family. Just to know that, make sure that they know their options and that they're not being told options. Like, there's a difference between being told your options and knowing your own options, and we want to make sure that they know the difference between the two.
I talk about it all the time. Like, we're here at Humber College. I was just at the varsity athlete banquet, 300 athletes all in one room. And, here you are at the college varsity level, and, we're going to have some players maybe with national team prospects and things like that, semi-professional. But a lot of them, this might be the end of the road of their competitive athletic career. And just as like an example, kind of what advice would you have for those students that are now kind of, where I was going to be after high school? Now you have this void, and like, how do what's the next step there?
I think it's important to realize that there is skill development going on in your sport, in your sporting career, because that's a very common attitude that we hear amongst athletes and amongst people not involved but who are close to those athletes. Oftentimes parents are going to be a voice in their ear that's telling the kids, even though they might be encouraging them, saying, you can do well at this sport, you can keep, good job. But there's also a voice in their ear that's saying, like, you gotta go to school, you gotta do well so you can get a good job, you gotta get your degree, you gotta do this. Like, that's more important than sport, because really, where is sport gonna take you? That's a common attitude that we hear a lot, and we want to let the kids, I shouldn't even say kids, because really it's anyone. Let the athletes understand that skill development is happening right now, and it'll make you more capable, and it'll increase your value in the workplace and in life afterwards. But that realization is important because it could help them further develop skills. And that's why it's important for us to target kids. When I was young, when I was 14 years old, that's when I started lifting weights. And you guys, all of you know that when I first started playing football, I was little and I wasn't the biggest, strongest. Grade 9 and 10, I wasn't like the biggest, strongest dude. I was getting beat up a little bit. But when I started playing at training at SST, Sports Specific Training Oakville, shout out. Kevin Iben was there, right? Everyone remember Kevin Iben? So he was a former football player, played for the Toronto Argonauts and Hamilton, and but anyway,
I had season tickets to the Ticats, man. I grew up a Ticats guy, right? So I had season tickets. I'd go with my dad, and there's that rivalry with the Toronto team. And now you play. Like, I got a buddy that plays on the Argos, so now I've grown partial.
It's crazy, right?
I've never been the type of sports fan to like hate the other team. I don't know. I've just never been like just because I'm a Steelers fan, I hate the Ravens.
You appreciate good sports.
Exactly. That's what I'm here. But again, I think I'm in a minority in that sense. Most people they have that like intense. And now here I am at college. We have our rivalry, and like I've kind of bought into that. I hate Sheridan.
It's fun to do that. Well, that's why I don't actually hate Hamilton. I do that jokingly. Because I went to school in Hamilton. The fans, whenever we play Hamilton, are super nice to just me and not to my team, not to anyone. Because I went to Mac, right?
That's so good.
Then again, they're making fun of Van Zyl, so who knows? But back to my story. So I'm lifting weights at SST. Kevin Iben comes up to me. He's a linebacker. I knew who he was at the time. And obviously, I held him in very high regard because of what he did, because I was a kid and he was a professional athlete. He came up to me and said, hey, man, I think you could play professional football one day. Is that something you want to do? And I was like, how do I do that? Like, yeah, I want to, what? Yes, thank you. How do I do that? And he's like, you got to believe in yourself. You got to work hard, man, but you got to believe in yourself. Like, you can do this. And it's not so much what he said. It's just whatever he did say, I was going to believe him.
Exactly.
You know, like he acted as my friend that day, and I was going to believe whatever he said because he's a professional athlete. And honestly, that changed something in my head. I started to have more confidence after he told me that I could do this. And it was such a simple thing. And I think that if we can just get that mindset into these young athletes, that listen, you're going to develop these skills and it's going to help you. You know, try to find a balance. Do well at everything you're doing, but understand that sport is not a waste. It's a tool.
Absolutely.
And it's a valuable one that you should use.
There's one thing my dad always said growing up. Sport is a means to the end, not the end in itself. Right. And what I took from that, well, growing up, I just kind of brushed it off. I'm like, oh, Dad, yeah, funny. You don't know what you're talking about. But as I got older, I realized that I use sport as a platform to do bigger and better things. Right. The skills I learned in my sport help me to make all the connections I've made later in life, help me to speak in front of hundreds of people, help me to do a lot of different things. Right. And so it's
the work ethic.
Exactly, the work ethic. There's so much that goes into sport that translates to real life, quote unquote real life, right? And that's something that a lot of athletes, young athletes, don't realize, and that's one thing we want to bring to light.
Well, you talk about sport is not the end of itself, but when you're here in the college environment and you have to give 110% to, whatever super competitive team you're on, you do kind of have to, the studies does take a bit of a hit. It takes kind of second banana as much as, we'd like, student athletes to be students first. You can't not give 100% to this super competitive team. And, in that sense, you do kind of sacrifice that sort of the academic opportunity that college presents. And the thing is, athletes go through their life and they start in a sport and they learn how to get good and it becomes this really powerful thing. That cycle is going to happen all through their life, no matter what they do. If there's something that they have a talent for, something they apply themselves, they're going to get results. And I think if we can maybe just get into everybody's head, like, hey, once you're done sports, just apply that same thing. The same cycle is going to happen, and you'll be successful, and you'll build a new community. You'll build a new horizon.
Exactly.
It happens time and time again, right?
Well, something that you said, I think it's important that you said that. And what I hear when you talk about this is I hear sacrifice, because like you said, like it's hard to balance sport and school. I messed up. I almost got kicked out of school when I went in for engineering. I was not doing well, and I failed a course, and I wasn't doing that well. I had to transfer. And I had to also develop my time management skills. But sacrifice is something that has to happen, and it's going to happen in sport. There's times in football, I remember when I was in school at McMaster, there's times where we had to watch film, and we would go until very late at night watching film. How is that different than somebody who's studying that needs to pull an all-nighter to finish an assignment? Exactly. It's just a different way of doing that. But you're going to do that later on in life.
Exactly.
You're going to have to make sacrifices. And if you can develop your time management skills and learn how to make sacrifices when you're young, let's face it, it's easier to learn things when you're young. It is. So let's develop that mindset right now.
Exactly.
And just the confidence in that cycle that, look, you'll just keep recreating success in your life if you follow that. Fascinating, though, to hear that you, as someone, the valedictorian of your high school class, always, as long as we went to elementary school together, you just getting, 90s and A+ and stuff. For you to go to university and not be able to, the way you wanted to balance academics and athletics, that says a lot about just how tough it is. Again, you picked up engineering. You didn't go for an easy way out.
But it's doable. It's not about easy or hard. I've know guys that have done both. I messed up. I failed. I admit that I failed and I had to change. But it's important that I can talk about how I failed because I did learn from that. And honestly, if I were to do it again, I would go into engineering again and I would try again and see if I could do it.
Exactly.
Because it's something that makes you who you are. You have to go through these challenges.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Better to push yourself, almost a bit too hard and then have to fail than taking an easy way where,
Especially when you're young.
Especially when you're young.
Sure.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, get used to taking on big challenges and stuff, right?
And get used to being uncomfortable.
become comfortable in the uncomfortable.
And that's a tough path to take because you go, okay, I'm going to take things that I'm not necessarily comfortable with, and then you have those moments of like sometimes it goes great, and you're driving home from that thing, and you feel great about yourself. You just done something new. Maybe you're developing, but then sometimes you just tank, and you don't.
It happens.
So you have to have that fortitude to keep pushing yourself through that, right?
Yeah, you really have to be able to talk to yourself with love and be forgiving in the sense that that not everything's going to work out for you, but if you don't try, you will never know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So be able to go through it. And if you fail, like Declan, I did the same thing. When I went to university in my first year, I failed out. It was tough. I didn't make the right decisions, and it happened. But being able to come back at it, be like, you know what? No, it's okay. I can go on and do other things as well. That's the part that a lot of athletes need to be able to do, is that mental toughness, is that being able to talk yourself with love.
Yeah, it's a tough time for a young athlete making that transition to university or college or what have you. But you guys must have had some fun too, right? I'm sure you guys had a good time. McMaster, and you're at U of T, right?
Yep.
And then some. Yeah, so you guys probably had some fun too, right?
Talk about the fun though. The thing is, like, there are sacrifices of fun too. Like, you're not going to be going to all the parties. You're not going to be doing all these things all the time. But also, in terms of fun, like, what is fun? If I think back to the best moments in McMaster, it's probably a combination, of, those times with your friends, like you're saying, having fun. But a lot of it is locker room moments as well. Yeah. I remember winning certain games, and afterwards we're all celebrating, and like, that's a beautiful sport moment that I had to sacrifice going to parties to experience this beautiful, like, we're going to the Vanier, wow, so much fun, we're having, sacrifices were necessary to make that happen.
Yeah, and it's just the depth of that bond you have with people
exactly.
You're playing the sport with. That's pretty intense moments.
It is.
And again, it's the ups and downs too, right? Like, yeah.
And that same up and down is kind of what we want to make the athletes aware of, because like you said, those big moments where you're like, everything's going right, everyone loves you, the crowd's going crazy, coaches are all connecting, players are all connecting. It's like, yo, this is great, this is awesome, like, this is why I play sports. And then once that's gone, you're like, if you think about it, an athlete's whole social circle, that of what he had was the sport, right? So once that's gone, you don't have a social circle. And then it's kind of like, in a sense, you kind of lose your personality, because that sport was your personality. And once that's gone, it's like, all right, how can I really be myself around people that are no longer watching me score those 2 points, you know what I'm saying? Exactly. Or watch me get that touchdown. Now it's like, all right, what else can you offer if you're not catching a ball?
Exactly.
So that's kind of, and that's really, that hurts for a lot of people. And Shaka showed me an interview that Dwayne Wade has said that once he's done playing basketball, he's still going to go into therapy and just kind of figure out how he can last post career. And you look at Dwayne Wade, like a 3-time champion, you're like, what does he have to do to make himself be level headed? But if he's doing that, like, who knows what an athlete that doesn't have that money, that backing to be comfortable, that has to go to work every day, meet people every day, and prove themselves starting from scratch. When you put work in all these years to be this athletic dude, or the athletic dude to these people's eyes, and then once it's done, it's like, all right, what else can you do? Like, off the rip, it's like, all right, what's
identity? Yeah, and like, it's taken away. It's like, what's left? And I think I see it all the time. People want to kind of put athletes into a box, like, okay, you're a sports guy, I can kind of just fill in the rest of everything I need to know about you. And I think, I don't know why that is, but a lot of people have that sort of one-dimensional perception of athletes, and I think it kind of feeds into the reality then of some athletes just going total one-dimensional. This is everything, and again, your competitive days, they last so long. And what's next for Dwayne Wade? After this huge career to be done, and what's next? And he's probably going to struggle a little bit in finding that. Or for me, even with a high school career, what's next? And struggling to, get through that. And I went through a lot of years with nothing to kind of fill that void, and it's tough. And if we can just kind of, again, with what you guys have with Beyond the Game, just kind of get into people's heads what we have to do to maybe, help them fill that void, and then we're all set. We'll go take a quick break right now. We'll come right back on the Chip Marble Podcast. Thanks for staying with us. we're back on the Chip Marble podcast with Shaka, Declan, and Trevon, and they make up Beyond the Game, this new organization they've started targeted to high school athletes and youth athletes, and just kind of the full picture of what it is to be an athlete and life, how sports fits into that. But this isn't the full team. You guys also do have 2 more team members, and I'd love to hear about Aaron and Ashley.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I'll start with Ashley. She is our resident yoga instructor. She also teaches as well. With athletes, she brings an energy that's different from our current dynamic, right? She loves young athletes, and what she really wants to do is teach them how to make their breath work for them, right? So in stressful situations, instead of being super high anxiety or super high, super panicky or just really aroused, right? She's able to teach these athletes to breathe and control that heart rate and be able to, settle themselves and make intelligent decisions, really make thought out decisions. Then there's Aaron, right? Aaron is a very detail-oriented mind. He currently works for Porsche as a brand ambassador, and he brings a very intelligent way of language to contracting, to sales, and that's super important. Like the rest of us, we're in front of the camera. We're the ones in front of the athletes, kind of doing all that kind of stuff. But that leaves the back end. And yes, I do have some business experience, business sense, but Aaron has a lot more that he brings as well, right? So that picks up the back end as well, and where the rest of us, it just works really well together, right? And these 2 gentlemen, they'll go ahead and talk about themselves as well.
Yeah, obviously I'm here for the voice of the current athlete, I guess, because like I was saying earlier with that story, like I believed Kevin Iben when he told me to believe in myself and play professional football. The reason being he was a professional athlete. So hopefully, if anything, I can just work at convincing athletes of what we're talking about. I can just talk to athletes, and hopefully they'll just want to listen more because I'm currently active in it, and it's just a different voice to hear.
The street cred.
Yeah, gotta get the street cred. Yeah.
I guess like when I look at us as a team, personally, I feel like I bring like a little bit of each one of them in a sense where. I'm an athlete just like these guys. I'm also a personal trainer, and when I got hired to my gym, one of the first things we talked about was the Wim Hof method, which is breathing. Like Ashley does the same thing, and I have a huge love for marketing and business, which is like again what Aaron brings to the table. So that mixed with I'm a very observant, quiet person. Like I like to just see how people move, what they like, and I like connecting with people. And that mixed with my understanding of emotions, I feel it could be a great fit for what this great plan that Shaka brought us all to do. So.
And it's a very football-heavy team, and to have a great basketball player like yourself, I think that's probably pretty good to diversify the sport. And I mean, we talk about Ashley with like the yoga and the breathing stuff, and I guess like having that full picture of what an athlete can be. And I think we all grew up, and probably if yoga was ever brought up, we would probably reject it, but when my football career was done, I really got into yoga, and I think it's like a really cool thing, and just breathing techniques and like connecting to your body, like kind of weird ideas of what people might not be super receptive to. But I can tell you, like that's a really powerful thing, right? Like
exactly, it's going to be really, really big for us, especially with the way athletics are moving nowadays. Like nowadays, people are a little more conscious of their breath and their energies and all that kind of stuff. And so it's having her on the team is super, super valuable, because she's going to bring a different aspects of Beyond the Game. It's not just 4 guys coming at you like, hey, let's do this. now we have Ashley coming at it at a different approach, and I feel that a lot of athletes are really going to be receptive to what she has to bring.
Yeah, I mean, when I was at McMaster, just another example here of someone like Ashley coming in and helping us. We had a yoga instructor come in. The whole team was excited to come together. She would come in once a week, and we would do yoga together, and everybody left there feeling better. Everybody left there feeling healthier. Oh, I'm more flexible now. But the breathing control, like you were saying, is so important. And I found breathing several years ago. I started doing it just before I went to the Argonauts, is when I started doing the Wim Hof method. I started doing the breathing. I do it today. I do it once in the morning, once at night. I believe it helps me a lot, and it's just another tool that we can use to try and change the way things are done, improve the way things are done.
Yeah.
And if you're listening, you haven't done yoga or tried breathing properly, do it.
It's cool.
It'll change your
It's
life.
a cool thing to.
It will change your life.
But yeah, if you play these sports, it's kind of is like a leap of faith. Like one day my sister's like, I'm going to yoga. Do you want to try it? And I kind of like wrestled it in my mind. Like, I'll
should.
go. And I
Exactly.
fell in love right away. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm just laughing right now because this whole podcast, the mics are picking up like we're all hydrators, right? All four of us, like big hydrators. The whole thing is.
Yeah, we got four. We got four.
Yeah, I know. I get a lot of flack. Like, why are you peeing all the time? But look, it's a lifestyle. Okay? It's
You
a
own it.
hydrating.
You have to own it.
Hydration is
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
you know?
The one thing about this team I want to kind of mention as well is that each of us have different strengths, right? Each of us are able to bring different things to the table. And if we relate it back to a sports team, not everyone is going to be great at the same thing. That makes no sense for a team, right? My vision for this team was to bring people who will compliment me in the way we approach and the way we go after these athletes. And I'm so grateful for my team because they're great at their own things, and I want them to be able to shine in their own ways, right? I refuse to take the spotlight. I just think I'm a person with a big dream, and this team is going to be the people that are going to make it happen. Mm-hmm. So I'm super excited with what we have.
Yeah, and diversity is so important in our team. We need that diversity of opinion and diversity of perspective.
Absolutely.
And diversity of team, because this is something that they're gonna, we're gonna experience that in sport. There's gonna be a lot of diversity, and
Exactly.
and it's also gonna help with the way that we can help athletes right now, because every athlete is gonna be different.
Exactly.
Every athlete needs to be helped differently. There's going to be different perspectives that we need to bring into play, because there's not going to be a one template. Like, we go in, we talk to a football team, we go, all right, listen up. Like, this is how you're going to do things. It's going to improve if you do this, and you need to do this, and you need to do this. That doesn't work, because everybody's different. Everybody has different bodies, different minds, different experiences. It has to be a custom approach, and we need to have real diversity in our team to help us with that.
Yeah, it's a big thing. Reading people and this, the whole psychology of maybe what exactly certain people need, Everybody's in sports and they're getting so much from this great group experience. It's such a powerful group experience. And I guess from my perception, what Beyond the Game is trying to do is just hammer home the fundamentals of what this experience has to offer and what you can translate that outside of sport into your life, right? And I always kind of go back to it. I started playing football. I was drawn to it for some reason, and I stunk, but I stayed with it, and then I started to develop. It became this beautiful thing in my life. And here I am now, starting out broadcasting. I'm in my infancy here, and I guess you could say I stink, and but I'm slowly improving, and it's like this, the ultimate thing to do, right? Just take on a new challenge and apply those things I learned in sport, and have another community, have another way to connect with people, and just do something that is fun to do.
I think that's a really. I think we as a collective have a very interesting look in life, because we are all able to remember post technology, right? Like, no phones, going outside to play type thing. And now we're all so consumed with how technology is now. And that's a very weird space, because the younger kids only know technology, and the older ones only know post technology, pre-technology, and they lived like that for years. So try to tell someone 70 years in their prime what to do, you look kind of weird, because I've lived this stuff, right? But at the same time, I think we're in a very unique space, because we understand both. Like, growing up without technology, we had to listen to those that were older than us, and we understood where they came from. And now that there's technology, and the ones that are older don't necessarily aren't used to it as much, we have a chance to help them with that. At the same time, the younger generation grew up in technology, that's all they know. All they know is the flashiness, the post this, post that, watch me do this, and they think that's going to get them where they need to go. But we understand, there wasn't always this. We could never just grab our phone and make a podcast. We couldn't do that. We had to literally take a course, go to this place to create what we want to do. So we can empathize with both generations and kind of bring them together with an understanding that, if we just both take what we know and not worry about young and old, but worry about understanding perspectives, then that makes a huge jump in influence from younger to older, and being able to listen, and that starts conversation. Conversation always leads to open perspective, open dialogue, and change. So
yeah, it's a whole new set of problems. Yeah, like if you're looking to speak to young athletes, yeah, like social media, it's a whole new bag of problems to kind of work with. People hinging their identity on their Instagram, and like again, where is this going to lead you? People hinging their identity on sports. Okay, but what about when that's what's that going to lead to? And yeah, just filling in that full picture, right? Like
yeah, or it could be potential for really good things too, though.
Exactly. He mentions the podcast. You have 100%. Great opportunities with technology.
There are opportunities for people to lose their identity in their social media,
or get lost in the weeds of that.
To create kind of a persona, and that's them now. And I get it, but we could also use it for some really, really good things.
Exactly.
We can use it to be real. Tell our stories, and help people. Just honestly try to help people.
That's one of the biggest kind of principles that we want to hammer home with Beyond the Game, is that we want to be super authentic, no matter how it looks to the public. Yes. We're gonna be ourselves. We're gonna be completely transparent and tell you what's going on. If we're not right for something, we'll let you know. But if we are, we'll let you know. You're right. Yeah. And so I feel like with that, if we're transparent and authentic, we attract people who are transparent and authentic, and that's what we want around us, right? So I think it's super important to bring that one home.
Big time, yeah. Technology, social media. There's such a great opportunity for communities, and like what Beyond the Game seems like to me, it's a platform where people can kind of congregate and really live in that message of just what exactly is in front of us, what sports is, and what we all have in this network, and how to just manage that for the best life, period, but also, life after sport, all this stuff. Really cool.
Definitely.
Where to go from here? Hey, I know you guys keeping up with like right now March Madness right now? You guys into
Did you do a bracket?
I did a bracket.
How'd it go?
It's busted already.
We have the final of the championship now is lined up.
Texas Tech and who is it? Y'all ain't watch it? Or you watch
it's
it?
Not. Yeah, I just saw it on like CP24.
Clearly
I haven't really been
fans.
watching. I don't have cable anymore.
Basketball. I'm just not watching March Madness.
I'm too busy beyond the game, man.
Let's get
beyond the game.
What are we doing?
I'm too busy beyond the game. I can't focus on that.
Let's get back to beyond the I don't have cable, and I have a bad internet connection at my house, so my watching sports is like totally gone out the window, I know Raptors playoffs is starting soon.
Coming up soon.
NHL, like the first playoff series starts on Wednesday. Pretty exciting time to be a sports fan.
Yeah, it really is. Definitely. Really
Especially a Toronto sports fan.
Yeah, except for the Blue Jays. They're offering all kinds of discounts on beer this year just to find a way to get you there. Like,
for real?
Because, I guess they stinkeroo. Like, it's pretty clear that it's not going to be a good year.
Yeah.
So they're
we'll see. We'll see.
You never know. You never know. Hey,
very true.
Any given Sunday. Given Sunday, right? That's why you play the game.
Have you watched? Have you been to a baseball game before?
I haven't been to a Blue Jays game since like when I was really young, before they flared up and being all so good. Same thing with Raptors. I haven't been to a Raptors game.
It's been a minute still.
Actually,
I haven't been living here all that much, so I forgot that like Argo. This is all MLSE, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, now it is.
Yeah.
Well, now we are incorporated.
MLSE just bought the Argo, so
a lot of resources for us, man.
Shout out Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment.
MLSE.
And is that owned by like Rogers or something? MLSE.
It's a Bell Group, I think.
It's a Bell situation.
I shouldn't even talk. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know the ins and outs. I probably shouldn't talk.
I think they might be their own entity.
I forgot I had
MLSE is MLSE. There you go.
I'm pretty sure they're still their own entity. I don't think they're owned by Bell, but again, I don't know. Just presumptuous right now. So
they have people involved that were, anyways.
Probably.
Honestly, we're ignorant to talk about that.
Yeah.
And I forgot, for me to say the Blue Jays stinkeroo, I'm like, I have an Argos guy who's like, it's the same
I don't have to be like, go Blue Jays.
Toronto sports.
Go Toronto. I love Toronto sports because I grew up going to Toronto sports.
Facts.
But I don't have to be like, the Blue Jays are good, and anyone that's listening to me understand that I love the Blue Jays.
Just like for the record, I'd like to.
I love MLSE and every sporting team that's involved. I don't have to do that.
Go Marlies.
Yeah, well, how cool that you got to play for your hometown team, right?
Amazing,
like for the whole family to come out and stuff. And
it's like,
I had this surreal moment. I worked downtown Toronto, kind of by where you guys play your home games. I worked by Exhibition. for a radio station there. And I saw a kid with a Declan Cross jersey. I'm like, I don't think that he's related. Like, this is just a fan of mine. Like, crazy moment for me to see the guy, you know, we used to play like schoolyard.
Crazy moment for me to hear. I didn't know about this kid. Pretty cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it is. I'm super fortunate. It's like unfair. Like I'm unfairly fortunate with that. Like, how did I end up getting drafted by Toronto and like?
Yeah,
that helped me to finish my degree because I was right there. I can help do both now. I'm so fortunate. I'm just
and just relish in you know what the hard work has, like the opportunity that's come, and you know, just kind of soak it in for what it is, right, and see where it leads next. Really cool, man. We'll go another quick break. I'm sure it feels like 10 minutes. I'm sure like another half hour has passed. But we'll be right back on the Chip Marble podcast. We're going to finish up talking about the different services that these guys offer at Beyond the Game, and maybe wrap up, find out who your guys' inspirations are. I think Pinball Clemens might come up once or twice. All right, we'll be right back. Chip Marble podcast. We are back on the Chip Marble podcast. We're here with Shaka, Declan, and Trevon. And you guys have this organization along with your other team members, Beyond the Game, and with Ashley and Aaron. And what kind of services do you guys provide? What does it look like when I go on the Beyond the Game website and I look to book your services? What exactly is offered there, and what can I get out of it?
Okay, so basically what people can book is, one-on-one sessions, team workshops, keynote speaking. Eventually we'll get to online coaching, yoga sessions. They can book it individually as a single person or like a one-time thing, or book packages where we'll come in and we do different modules on different days and allow time for people to process what's really going on. What we essentially want to do, where we break everything down into modules, right? So each module is designed to do a certain thing to really get people thinking about what's really going on. Essentially what we want to do is break down kind of the stereotypical mindset of an athlete of what sport is for the athlete, give them the reality of the sport, give them have them look at their dreams and where they want to go, and then build them back up to encourage them to, go for it, but be aware. Be aware of what's really going on. Be aware of your own skill development. Be aware of the realities of professional sports. Be aware of what can happen next for you, and then go ahead and chase it. It's a really we never tell anybody what to do. That's one thing I want to make very clear. We will never tell you how to live your life. All we do is probe you and ask you questions. You have all the answers. We just get you to start thinking about it.
Because nobody knows more about you than you do.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, but you might not be able to work that out if you don't get it out of you. Have somebody to connect to, and you guys can kind of service that. Yeah, that's a really powerful thing.
Yeah, one thing I really find is that a lot of people, you can ask a kid, oh yeah, so what are you gonna do when you grow up? Oh yeah, I'll be an engineer. Cool. All right, but what does that really look like? Can't really tell you. Right. So having the modules, being in this team setting, especially with the team workshops, you're with your team. You're not only learning about yourself, you're learning about your teammates and how they think and how they process. It's no longer just on the field. Now you're outside. You really get to know someone on a mental level, and it's really empowering for the athlete and for the teammates, and it's super cool watching them work through it all. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Really cool. Mm-hmm. Hey, if you guys could go back, think about your athletic careers, starting out really young and, going through elementary school, high school sports. Is there anything that you would have liked to have changed or manipulated in any way, like knowing what you know now, and maybe some of this advice you're trying to provide for these younger athletes? Can you think of something that you would like to have switched maybe a little bit? Maybe you wanted to have gotten into yoga earlier, something like that.
Honestly, I wish that I knew. I wish that I understood the little things in basketball. Like when I say that, I mean how you can literally break down a play to where there will always be an offensive player wide open if you do the proper things offensively. Like sometimes when you're playing basketball, you're like, all right, I'm going to break down my defender and I just drive and score type thing, right? But if it's like, but sometimes you have to really not even slow down yourself as a player, but slow down the whole game and be like, all right, so if I see someone in this corner and I pass it to the opposite corner, automatically this guy needs to go to the middle of the key because he's not going to leave his man over there. So if I fake that pass and he dips in a little bit, then boom, I have that wide open pass in that corner for a wide open shot. So just understanding little things like that, I wish I knew more. And I remember this one day, I was driving with my dad we went to a tournament. This is when I was an immature little child. So he gives me a book after a tournament that I think we won or lost. I forget what it was. And he gives me a book. He's like, Trev, you will learn a lot from reading this book. And I was like,
everybody poops.
I was like, this isn't a ball or a shoe. Like, why are you giving me this, Dad? Like, I don't need this right now, you know?
What was the book?
I forget what it was. I think it was called, it was relating to basketball, and it was pretty much stories about understanding your position, understanding everyone else's position, understanding what separates Chris Paul from the Y player that's just as good but didn't make it. Like, why is their skill set the same, but why are they in two different places? That's what the book was about, and I didn't even touch it. Like, I brought it back to university, didn't touch it. So it's just like, looking back, if I read that book, that would have, I know for a fact, that would have sparked something small that would have been like, oh, like, there's more than just, because even when I watched film to watch me.
Yeah.
You know, you watch film to watch yourself.
But you got look at it like Tom Brady. That's where greatness is.
Exactly.
Is like, okay, you have your ability, but we're not resting on that. Even though you have your ability and you have every right to coast on that, you're still going to do all the little things, and that is where you get that.
So I'd say I wish I did that.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel you, man.
Matt, Tom Brady is an amazing example, man, because it's so interesting. Because if you look at elite quarterbacks right now in the NFL, Tom Brady is not physically very impressive, right? Like, he's not super strong.
No.
Doesn't throw the ball exceptionally hard.
He's not Cam Newton.
He's not Cam Newton. He doesn't look. He certainly
good
doesn't. No, he's a handsome man. Actually, yeah, he's a handsome man. But man, physically, he's unimpressive.
Yeah.
And yet he's in the conversation for greatest of all time.
Yeah.
And that's a legit conversation. He's very good. And it's like you said, he prepares so intensely, and his focus is so strong, and his mind is so strong, and his decision making is so definitive. And he just masters this preparation aspect. And in football, if you can master the preparation aspect, your chances go up more than if you master other. I think preparation is that might be the most important thing in football. And so, to answer your question earlier, if there was one thing that I wish I could improve upon when I was a kid, when I was younger, I wish I prepared better. I think I prepared well for. I mean, obviously everything's working out right now, whatever. But could it have been better? Yeah. I could prepare better. I could have studied better. I could have trained better. I could have recovered better. I could have ate better. There's things that I can improve there. But the preparation for the football game might have made the biggest difference, because in high school, what did we do to prepare for opponents?
Not
we
much.
Practiced.
That's it.
We ran plays.
Yeah.
Sometimes we got information from the coaches about what the other team does. But we didn't
Sometimes.
watch a lot of film.
No.
Well, and then the technology got better where now we have an online thing where they're posting game film. And you could, but then how many people are actually looking? And the coaches can tell, like, they have the numbers, the stats on who actually logged in to watch the game film. And it's
but there's
like
kids who log in and they don't watch.
Exactly.
Too. So it's like,
yeah.
That might be the way to really improve for the younger kids is prepare. But man, like, prepare. Like, watch Tom Brady is doing this without being physically exceptional, because he prepares exceptionally.
Exactly.
Yeah, the big thing for you guys is don't, like, you know, when you're talking to young athletes, it would be like, don't rest on your talent. It can almost be like your gift and your curse, your raw ability. You just, you coast on it. And like, I feel like I'm guilty of that, where I didn't take it to the next level as I went on through football, because just coasting on what you had. And then pretty soon you're like, oh, wait, I need to do all those other things, or else, oh no, it's passed me by, you know? So yeah, for sure. Right from the jump. Take that. And you said something to me when I interviewed you last year at McMaster. You said something like, I asked you, you're on this journey, you know, you found the success. Like, are you at all nervous? Like, do you feel pressure? And you're like, look, I prepare in a way where I can look in the mirror and I feel good about my preparation. So there's nothing to be anxious about. There's nothing to be, you know, nervous about, because I feel like I've done, you know, what I could do, and I'll let the chips fall where they may. I've tried to apply that same thing, you know, like, just do my thing. Be able to look in the mirror and know I gave it the effort that needed to be given, and then we'll see what happens. And
Exactly.
that's, you know.
Exactly.
I think athletes have a that's a great mindset because we are forced, like you said before, we're forced to have that end goal, right? And a lot of people don't understand what it is to have an end goal. So once you have, like, athletes need to, every end goal for every team is win a championship. So you have to force yourself to stay on track the entire season, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah, what's super important about that is even though all athletes have that end goal, the process of getting to that goal is different for everybody, right? And so I just want to give a quick shout out to Vince Luciani at Legacy Coaching. He really helped me shape my mindset in all this. You know how everybody says trust the process? No, trust your process. The process signifies that there's only one way of doing things, which is we know is not the case because everybody has their different talents. Everybody has their quote unquote downfalls, right? So the way you get to a certain goal is by doing it a way that works for you, right? My way is not the same with Declan's way. For example, we went through high school together, played football together, both lost scholarships to play at university. Awesome. Our first year, we both struggled a lot. And he's playing.
Tell me about it.
Right?
I wasn't playing sports, but university was not.
It was not easy, right?
Freedom,
right? But the path we took was very similar. But the difference is he's playing pro sports and I'm not, right? So the process is not singular for everybody. It's very different for each person. I try to do things the way that didn't work for me, and now I'm not playing pro sports, but that's totally okay because I found my way elsewhere. But Declan was able to make it work for him, and he's playing pro sports, and that's amazing. You know what I mean? And so that really ties into what I wish I knew more of in high school was being able to understand that there's more than one process. There's more than one way of doing things. Like I can't be so focused on sports and sports alone. Like I need to diversify myself. I need to be able to be better at school. I need to be better at making connections. I need to be better at doing certain things that will help me later in life in case sports doesn't happen. Right. And that didn't happen for me in high school, and that's okay. Learned it later in life, but I wish that was something I knew.
Yeah, I mean, we learn these skills in sports. The social aspect, that was a huge thing for me personally, was the social interaction with those people and developing in that sense. And now you mentioned like the network and learning how to be a team player. And for Declan, still applying those skills in the sport context, those skills he learned from sports in professional sports. And you're applying the skills you learned in a professional context. And it's, equally valid, right? It's just a matter of where you're putting your energy in.
That's it.
And how you feel like you can have an impact on people. Really cool, guys. Cool that you mentioned Luciani, just a legendary like football family and where we're from in Oakville. And really cool what he's doing with legacy coaching.
Absolutely. He really changed the lives of so many people. With legacy coaching, it goes beyond just athletes. It's everyday people who have the quote unquote identity crisis, right? He preaches that what we seek from others, we should be able to give to ourselves. That way we don't lean on the external validation. If we're able to give it to ourselves, we don't necessarily need people saying, "Oh, you're great," right? So if you mess up, and like I mentioned before, talking to yourself with love, that's what he preaches. Talk to yourself with love. Be able to love yourself, and you don't necessarily need other people, right? Yeah. Exactly. It's all about looking internally, and then that's gonna be reflected out, right? And he really helped me shape my mindset in a way that now I think a lot differently than I did when I was younger. I'm still me, but the way I look at things is from a completely different lens, and it's really big.
I hope we all think differently than when we did.
Yes, I made some decisions. I
hope in 10 years I think differently today too.
Amen.
We all got some learning to do.
A lot of learning to do.
But going internal, and like you said, you're talking to young athletes and just get them to kind of, expunge what's in their mind. What do they think of what they're trying to do, and get them to kind of piece it together. Just they know the answer. Just get them to
think about it.
That internal. I think sports offers that a bit of an internal exploration. What am I all about? And you kind of connect the dots, and you end up where you're at, and you take a lot away from that sport atmosphere.
Exactly.
It's really cool. Well, guys, I feel like we're winding down to the end here. Really appreciate you guys coming on, and I'd love to meet the rest of the team. I know Aaron very well. We played football from a young age, but really, thanks, guys, for coming in. Beyond the Game sounds like a really cool project. I really like what you're doing. I feel like it's a great platform to, use sports and promote all the good that sports has to offer, while, managing all the entire picture of what sports is and what it means to people. So
It's all love, Matt.
Appreciate you, bro.
Thanks for having us on here.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Shift Marble Podcast brought to you by Lynx Magazine.